Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, gonna get into some heavyweight boxing talk here. Jarrell Big Babe Miller. It's been reported that he has a date scheduled for April 28th. That'll be somewhere in New York, most likely the Barclays Center. So expect that to happen. Probably be Eddie Hearn's second fight card with Matchroom USA, which I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But the reason I'm making this video is because the news that was reported. I found it very interesting because they're saying that his next most likely opponent is Trevor the Dream Bryan, and that's someone that for the last 2 years and some change, we've been talking about that fight dating back to when Jarrell Miller was a prospect, and that was a fight I wanted to see back maybe like 2 years ago when they were both kind of at the same stage on Showbox. And if Jarrell can't secure one of the other big name heavyweights such as Wilder, such as AJ Parker, any one of those types of champions, or Dillian White, then I think this is a good fight. I think it's definitely a good fight. I mean, Trevor Bryan, you look at his record, is 19-0, what about 13 knockouts, something like that. And he, if you look at his record, resume, he doesn't have the best resume. He's very, very padded, but the guy is a good fighter. The guy, had a pretty good amateur background. The guy, for the most part, he knows they're familiar with each other. Like they used to get a lot of work right down here at the Heavyweight Factory 2 years ago. Had some really crazy sparring sessions. And I know that Trevor Bryan wanted this fight for a while too, and he's been someone that has been struggling to get fights. He's taken a couple of stay busy fights. I think the combined record of his last two opponents, just to illustrate how much of his last couple of fights were stay busy fights, the combined record of his last two opponents like 4-44, something like that. So for Trevor Bryan, a fight against Jarrell Miller would be hands down. It'd be a big hill to climb for the simple fact that he hasn't had a real challenge in that ring due to not being able to get fights since 2015 when he fought tough gatekeeper journeyman, Derek Rossi. So he'll have to really get up for it, but it's a fight that I mean, if Jarrell can't secure any opponents, it makes a lot of sense. So basically, this is what Jarrell had to say in regards to that fight and his current situation. He said, I quote, "It's looking like I'll be fighting at the end of April. I'm going to knock his block off. It's my turn now. I've been more active than he has, fighting more top contenders." And he's talking about Povetkin in this quote. I've been more active fighting more top contenders than he has, so I don't see why Povetkin would skip me. And then basically, then he basically goes on about how he deserves a title shot and all this stuff, and that after he knocks out Trevor Bryan, it's going to be those after knocking out Trevor Bryan, that will lead to a title fight. And while that might sound crazy to a lot of boxing fans, because Trevor Bryan hasn't had like a real fight in about 2.5 years, he's actually right. Jarrell Miller is actually right, because Trevor Bryan is ranked number 5 in the WBA. Jarrell Miller is ranked number 3 in the WBA. So if you want to fight against a guy in the top 5, you're most likely going to move up a spot or two. So he'll probably work his way up into a title shot with Anthony Joshua, and if he's able to beat Trevor Bryan, and that's what it is. So but yeah, man, I'll have a video coming out. I'll have more about this potential fight if it gets made. I do plan on making a video because there's quite a few videos on here that I have with these two dating back to 2016. So it'll be kind of like a timeline of the little beef, because they do have not beef, but they don't like each other. They're very familiar with each other, and they've gotten great work in the past. So stylistically, it's an interesting fight. If Trevor Bryan, because Trevor Bryan, looking at him now, because I've seen him in the gym recently, just looking at Trevor Bryan now, he's put on a little bit of weight. If he can get back to the shape he was in like 2016, he was a lot leaner. He looked like he was just more fit back then. If he's able to get back to that level of fitness and conditioning, and I think he has a puncher, a good chance to win the fight. When we talk about styles, when he moves his legs and he doubles up on that jab or a hook, or just when he lets his hands go. If you go back and you watch the sparring session when they spar each other at the Heavyweight Factory, whenever Trevor Bryan moved his legs and he doubled up on any punch, he was landing very, very clean and effective punches. It was when Jarrell started leaning up on him, and Jarrell throws a lot of punches for a guy his size. That they started having trouble. So, sparring is sparring. The fights are different. The fight is different, but I think stylistically it's a fun fight. The fact that they don't like each other and they're familiar with each other, I think that makes it a cool fight as well. And for once, from the Trevor Bryan side of things, Trevor Bryan was a guy that 2.5 years ago, after he picked up that win against Derek Rossi, he looked like he was going to be on the way up to some big fights and working his way up into that mix of heavyweights. For whatever reason, he's been frozen out of fights, probably because he's with Don King, and Don King, fighters just seem to have a harder time getting certain fights done. So I do know that Trevor recently in an interview told me that what's his name, Stavern, he signed a contract to fight Stavern. That didn't pan out. He fought a contract, ironically, to fight Jarrell Miller. That didn't pan out, and then he signed a contract to fight Brazil, and then that never panned out. Those guys never signed their end of the contract. So, overall, for me, I'm happy. I'm really happy because while Jarrell Miller, and this is no disrespect to Jarrell because I'm cool with Jarrell. I like Jarrell. But while Jarrell Miller has picked up some good wins, he beat Jarrell Washington. He beat Marius Walk. To be fair, to be quite honest with you, I just think like there's still a lot of development that needs to happen there with Jarrell. And obviously with Trevor Bryan, he needs to fight better opposition. So there's a lot of development that needs to happen with him. And I still think, even 2 years after, this fight for both of them is at the right stage of their careers. So that's just my take on it. That's how I see it. You guys can let me know how you see it. But April 28th, HBO, that's what's being discussed by Eddie Hearn and HBO. So let me know what you guys think. Jarrell Miller versus Trevor Bryan. It's a fight that we talked about on this channel quite a lot. Not as much recently, but 2016, parts of 2017, this fight was talked about a lot on this channel. And Mr. Boxing Today as well. Mr. Boxing Today has also talked a lot about this fight as well. So there's been some of us who wanted to see this fight for quite some time, and now it's finally happening 2 years later. So we'll see what happens hopefully it gets made, and we'll see what happens once it does get made and the fight takes place. So let me know what you guys think. Do any of you out there who've seen Trevor Bryan fight, do you give him any chance of defeating Jarrell Bebe Miller? I'd like to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. And that's Dania, South Florida, if you didn't know. So until next time, take care, guys.